really amazing, and that is joy. Are we all ready to hear about joy this morning?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. So many times throughout the Bible, we see joy being raised again and again. We see in 1 Thessalonians 5, verse 16, it says, rejoice always. And Philippians 4, verse 4, rejoice in the Lord. Psalm 97, verse 12. Rejoice in the Lord, you who are righteous, and praise his holy name. So my thoughts for today are, have you guys heard of this idea that goes around about joy versus happiness? You know, like how joy is this like attitude of the heart, or this idea where it's just like part of your being instead, whereas happiness is this fleeting, momentary, like bubble of emotion. Do we kind of know what I mean by that?
Yeah.
I've heard something like that before. Well, I've come here to debunk a few myths. In the Bible, it's not like that. It's not like that at all. Happiness and joy tend to be the same thing. They're synonyms for each other. So if I use the word joy, I could also use the word happiness. Right? Okay? So, it's shown in things such as Psalm 32, verse 11, which says, rejoice in the Lord and be glad. It shows them right next to each other to say that, actually, they mean the same thing. Happiness is joy, and joy is happiness. And also in the Hebrew and the Greek, there are different words for happiness and for joy, but actually, none of them separate joy and happiness. So does that make sense? So when I say joy, I mean happiness, right? So what do I mean by joy?
Happiness.
What do I mean by happiness?
Joy.
Joy, okay. That's good, that's good. So, this is an interesting thing then. We have to think, well, isn't the world also looking for happiness? Right? But they're looking for it in all the wrong places, of course. The difference for us is that we have our happiness centered in Jesus. Whereas other people might have it as, my happiness is in my family, which is good, but it's not the center of happiness. Or it might be, I find joy in going to the, I don't know, night rave party every evening, or something like that. You know? So it's important to distinguish this, that joy and happiness are the same thing, because it makes joy so much more attainable. You know, if I said to you, be joyful, I would think like, okay, right. But if I said to you, be happy, we all know what that means. We all know what it means to be happy. So when we put it in this new perspective where joyful is happiness, you know, we can easily see what that means. So, the next thought then is, if we know that joy is happiness, then how do we get this joy? How do we get this happiness? Well, there are two main points that I see. Among others, there are others, but two main points that I see the Bible teaches us. And the first is we get our joy from our trust in God's faithfulness and his promises. Okay? So we see a few of his promises among many, such as he is our strength in our defense, Psalm 28, verse 7. We see that he has a purpose for us today, which is seen in Ephesians 2, verse 10, which we are created to do good works. And we see in Matthew 28, verse 19, the Great Commission. Go and make disciples of all the nations. And finally also, he delights in us. That's an amazing promise, isn't it? That he delights in us when we do his will. It's incredible. And so, no matter the situation, if we have that fundamental knowledge that God is faithful, that his promises will always come true, and not a word from him will leave empty-handed. It will come back to him fulfilling his will. And so we see this, for example, Habakkuk. He was under the threat of total annihilation in the Bible, like the Babylonians, they had come to attack Israel. And he saw this in a vision from God. And we see that in Habakkuk 3, verse 17 to 18, he says this: though the fig tree does not bud, and there are no grapes on the vine, though the olive crop fails, and the fields produce no food, though there are no sheep in the pen, no cattle in the stalls, yet I will rejoice in the Lord. I will be joyful in God my Saviour. For them, cattle, food, these all things, these were the essence of their life. If they didn't have these things, they just couldn't live. If they didn't have cattle, they couldn't sell it, they couldn't eat. If they didn't have grapes, that's how they made their wine, that's how they made their money. If they didn't have the crops in the fields, that's everything. That's all their money, that's all their possessions, that's everything. And yet, he says he will rejoice, even in this calamity of everything being stripped away. I just find that incredible.
It's good.
But we also see on the flip side of things, we see that after Jesus' resurrection, well, of course they're joyful, but it says it right here. While he was blessing them, this is Jesus, he left them and was taken up to heaven. Then they worshipped him and returned to Jerusalem with great joy. I think that's incredible as well, that even in the great heights of the best time, and even in the worst time, there's still joy.
It's good.
It says there that they worshipped Jesus. Even though he was no longer with them, they still worshipped him. So therefore, one way in which we can seek joy is by remembering God's past faithfulness and his promises and trust him for the future. The second way, I would say, is through fellowship. Fellowship, unity, meeting with people, and when God moves with other people, we can celebrate that. So, could I have some kids as volunteers? So I need 4 kids, and 2 of them need to be really good friends, yeah? Okay? So, can I have some hands up for whoever wants to join? Tyler, Hannah. Would you stand here for me, please? Come on then, Josiah, you can get in. Yeah? Okay. Avery and Chloe, you two can come too. We can go with one then. Okay? So, what I need you guys to do, okay, super important. I'm going to say a line, and when I say that line, I want you to do an action for me, okay? So, let's see. Okay, so, Tyler and Hannah, right? When I say God acts, okay, I want you guys to go like, boom! Yeah? Can you do that? Can you guys do that? Yeah? Okay? So, when I say people gather, right? Chloe and Ava, what I want you to do is I want you to go like this, right? Yeah! Okay? Can you guys do that? Yeah? Do it together, okay? And then Josiah, when I say, and they rejoiced, I want you to do like a dance and a woo! Yeah?
Come on, Josiah.
Can we do this?
Can you do that?
Very good? Okay. So throughout the Bible, we see this theme. We see this theme of God acting. We see people gathering. Yeah. And we see people then rejoicing. So the 3 good examples where I can see this happening, we see this in the Exodus. So we see that God parted the Red Seas and the Israelites crossed. God act. Boom. Okay. Then we see that the Israelites gathered together. People gathered. Nice. And then we see them sing a joyful song together. Hey! We see it in the birth of Jesus. So Jesus was born miraculously. God acts. Boom. Okay? Then we see the wise men and the shepherds gathered together. Yeah. And then they all praised God for the newborn Messiah. Woo! And then, of course, one final one. Jesus died and rose again. God acted. Boom. And then the numerous Christians throughout Acts gathered together. Yeah. And then they praise God for his wonderful miracle. Woo! Yeah, so we see this line of this theme of God acting. Then people gathering together and then worshipping for what God has done. And I was thinking, how do we mimic this? How do we capture hold of this? Well, it says 1 Corinthians 12 verse 26. If one part suffers, every part suffers with it.
Yeah.
If one part is honoured, then every part rejoice with it. And I was thinking, how do we do this together? Well, I was thinking if we know that God has done something in our lives, we should go out and tell somebody we know. And that we should just gather together. It doesn't matter where it is. It could be in your kitchen, just with some worship songs on it. It could be here at church, and we could all worship together. Sometimes I've seen people come to the front and say, God did this in my life, and we can all just praise God together. And I just thought that sounds incredible.
Yeah.
Just gathering together after God's done something great, done something miraculous. We can just worship together. So can I challenge you? Can I challenge you today, church?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay. So, first thing, let's memorize a promise from God on our lives. Find one in the Bible that just speaks to us. And when something comes that wants to drag us down, take away that joy, well, we can speak those words over our life, and that is powerful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? And the second thing is, when you see God do something, it can be small, it can be big, but when you see God do something in your life, that's good, then gather together with your family in Christ and rejoice and celebrate that work of God. And we can all do it together here. We can all do it in the kitchen.
Yeah.
We can all do it in the park. We can all do it in our bedrooms. It's amazing. And I just love this picture in my mind of just all of God's people gathering together to worship what He has done. And we have a joy that it says cannot be removed. It cannot be taken away from us. Because Jesus died once and for all people. And that is a joy that we can continually celebrate, day in, day out. Even when it feels like God is not moving.